Good afternoon. It's Thursday lunchtime. Beautiful day outside. You've had a thoroughly lazy day. I'm with Squirtle today. I'm with Molly today. So you've had a lazy morning, I think, which is perfectly allowed in the Easter holidays, isn't it? So nothing much to report apart from the fact that Daddy tried to cut his hair this morning. The various people watching this can slowly watch the degradation of my hair over the days as I hack away at but kind of a bit more of it, and it'll look even more of a mess as we go through the months. So let's crack on with the Enchanted Wood. I can't even remember what chapter we're on. I think it is. Oh, it just even says chapter 12. We're up to chapter 12. We are officially about halfway through, I think, maybe approaching halfway. So you don't know what's happened. They've escaped from the land of ice and snow. They're in the cottage of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but and they've made the polar bears go away. But
is Joe still in the ice?
No, Joe. They've rescued Joe. So everybody we like, Moonface and the children.
What about Pixie?
I don't think she was ever with them, was she?
Yeah.
Was Silky with them? Don't think so.
Just
Moonface. So Moonface and the children, and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. They're all in the cottage, but as it finished yesterday, it sounded like the magic snowman was outside. So that's where we take up today's story with chapter 12 and what happened to the snowman. Right. Everyone stared at the big white bears in horror. No one had thought of the chimney. What a pity they hadn't stopped it up. I'm going to let the magic snowman in, said the first white bear. Then the father bear spoke up in a very sorrowful voice. Cousin, why are we enemies? We've always been good friends up till now. The four white bears looked at him and at the mother bear in sudden amazement. They rushed at them with loud, oomphy noises. Joe thought they were going to fight the three bears, but no, the white bears were not going to fight. They were hugging the three bears as tightly as they could, and to the children's amazement, tears were pouring down their furry faces. We didn't know it was you, said the white bears. Why, cousins, we would never have fought you if only we'd thought you were the three bears we love so much. There, said the mother bear, wiping the tears of a white bear off her fur. It's all right, but for goodness sake, tell the other bears we're friends. We don't want the door battered down. Moonface opened the door and yelled out of it, Bears, it's all right. This is the cottage of your cousins, the Three Bears. We're friends. But the white bears didn't answer or come in. Instead, a big white shape came up and squeezed through the door. The magic snowman. A chill fell over the little room. The white bears were frightened of him, for he was their master. He shut the door and glared at everyone out of his stone eyes. So even my own bears have gone over to the enemy, he said. Oh, what will you say if I turn you into ice and snow, everyone? Nobody said anything. But to Beth's surprise, Moonface shut the door and then went to the fire. He piled on 3 great logs and winked at Beth. The snowman took up a white bear by the scruff of his neck and shook him. Ah, so you found your voices, did you? He said. Didn't I tell you that you were the only to say oomph and not speak a word to anyone? I won't have bears that talk. He picked up another white bear and shook him. So you're friends with my enemies, are you? He said. The room became very hot. Joe took off his coat, and so did the others. Moonface slyly put on another log. The fire crackled and shot great flames up the chimney. Franny wished she could take off everything, she was so hot. Whatever does Moonface think he's doing, making the room so hot, she thought crossly. But just as she was about to tell him what she was thinking, he winked at her, and she said nothing. Moonface had some strange plan that he was carrying out. The snowman went on and on, grumbling and threatening. Everyone listened and said nothing. Moonface raked the fire and it blazed up higher. Now this is what I'm going to do, said the magic snowman. I'm going to take this nice little cottage for my own, and I shall live here. All of you others can live in a snow house and freeze for all I care. You will all wait on me and do whatever I say. Yes, said everybody. They all knew now what Moonface's plan was. He meant to make the room so hot that the magic snowman would melt. Clever old Moonface. A little trickle of water began to run from the snowman's broad white back, which was near the fire. Moonface pointed to it secretly and grinned. Franny thought Moonface's beaming face looked so funny that she began to giggle. She really couldn't help it. Goldilocks giggled too and stuffed her handkerchief into her small mouth, and the baby bear gave a high squeak of a giggle. "How dare you laugh?" shouted the snowman angrily. "Outside, all of you, outside! This is my cottage now, and not one of you shall stay here." They all crowded outside except Moonface, who crouched behind a big chair, determined not to leave the fire in case it burnt low. Outside it was bitterly cold. The white bears quickly dug up the snow and made a high wall to shelter the others from the wind. They crouched there, cuddling close to one another for warmth. The big white bears wrapped their furry arms around the children and warmed them beautifully. Joe thought they were very kind indeed. They waited and they waited. They could see smoke pouring from the chimney of the cottage, and they knew that Moonface must be keeping up the fire. The bears oomphed every now and again, and the children whispered to one another. Then suddenly the door of the cottage was flung open and Moonface stood there, his big face beaming like a full moon. "You can come back in now," he shouted. "It's quite safe." They all crowded back to the cottage. Joe looked for the snowman, but he was gone. There was nothing to show that he'd been there except for a very large puddle of water. "He melted very quickly," said Moonface. "He may have been very magic and very powerful, but he was just made of snow after all, so he melted like a real snowman on a sunny morning." The polar bears oomphed with delight. They had hated being servants to the snowman. "We'll all say goodbye to you now," they said to the three bears. "This cottage is cosy, but it's too hot for us. Come and see us again whenever you like. Goodbye." Everyone hugged them goodbye, and Joe felt quite sad to see them go. Moonface shut the door after them. "Now we'll get back home," he said. "I'm a bit tired of this land. Come on, bears, help me to get the cottage back safely." That was hard to say. He didn't do the same magic as before. He drew a circle on the floor in blue chalk, and the three bears stood inside, holding paws. Moonface danced around them, singing strings of odd magic words. A wind rose up and the cottage rocked. Darkness came down, and for a moment no one could see anything at all. Then gradually the darkness went, and the wind blew no more. The sun shone warmly in at the window, and Beth gave a shout. "I say, we're back in the little woody corner where we first saw the cottage, and it's daytime now, not night time." "Well, we've been having this adventure all night long," said Moonface with a laugh. "It's sunrise now. The night has gone. You'd better hurry off home, children, or you'll be scolded for leaving your beds at night." They hugged Goldilocks and shook hands with the three bears. "We'll come back and see you sometime," said Franny. "Thank you so much for all your help." Goldilocks and the bears stood at the door and waved goodbye as Moonface hurried the three children away down the lane to catch the train back to the Enchanted Wood. It wasn't long before they got to the station, waited for a train, slid off the roof and settled down in a carriage. When they got to the Enchanted Wood, they said goodbye to Moonface, and Franny gave him a kiss for being such a help. He was so pleased that he went red all over his enormous face, and Beth laughed. "You look like the sun setting now," she said. "You really ought to be called Sunface." "Goodbye, and see you soon, I hope," called Moonface. Off went the children home and got into bed just about an hour before their mother called them to get up. My goodness, they were sleepy all that day. The end of that chapter, and tomorrow looks like a new adventure called Moonface Gets Into Trouble. So that's chapter 13. Moonface Gets Into Trouble. So it's what's tomorrow? It's Good Friday tomorrow. Good Friday. So I don't know what that makes. What's the day before Good Friday? Even Better Thursday? Or OK Thursday. Let's call it OK Thursday and then Good Friday. Okay, so have a more than good OK Thursday, and we will see you on Good Friday for chapter 13, Moonface Gets Into Trouble. Okay, TTFN.